I built 3 businesses to over $1 million a year. And today I'm gonna give you the 18 most profitable posts out of all of them. We're gonna start with number 1, the protagonist post. And this one is the most profitable one. Think of your protagonist post as when Rocky decided to finally battle Apollo Creed. We wanted him to win. He didn't win, but that's beside the point. If you think about what makes up a good story, the protagonist has an enemy or a goal that they want to reach. Most people on social media, coaches, consultants, they don't really have this kind of goal that they want to reach. If people are gonna follow you, you need to lead them somewhere. How can you lead them if you don't really have this goal that you wanna get to? The most profitable post I ever made, I'm probably gonna put it on the screen right now, on my plan to get to $100,000 a month in profit. People could stand behind that. Before you post something about this is where I'm going, this is what I want, these are my rules, this is the path that I'm going to take, then people don't really understand, like, why are you doing this thing? Why do you bother? What's the thing driving you forward? Once you post the protagonist post, you kind of change the perception that people have of you. You go from being somebody selling something like everybody else to becoming a man and a mission. So if you think about the big influencers, they have this goal. They have something that we can be like, I don't know if they're gonna get it. It's even better if it's kind of ambitious, because then you can really stand behind it and be like, I want to support this person. A lot of people can't do that. They're afraid to do that because they don't have this, when number one, they don't have that clarity of what they want. That bleeds into their marketing and their offers and the growth of their business because, well, if you don't know what you want, then how can we follow you? Maybe your audience has that question now. If you don't know what you want, well, I'm gonna go with somebody who does, right? So that's what happens. So protagonist post is number 1. Declare a mission. You can pin it, you can keep referencing it, you can keep updating people on it. And just that one post is gonna change the perception that people have of you. You may sell something, but now that's not like a pitch. It's a means to an end. It's how you're gonna get to the goal. It's not as obtrusive. It's more like, okay, I understand why you're doing this because you declare what you wanted. There's no hidden intent through that. There's clarity and honesty is kind. And people kind of want to know why you're doing this thing that you're doing. 2 is senses. Senses are a way to build your world. We have 5. We have hear, see, taste, touch, smell. You can create these emotions through posts so that people can understand what your world is like and therefore trust you more. So I'll give you an example. Number 1, hear. Here is a post or sequence of posts in which you declare what calling do you hear? Like where do you think you want to go? The here post would be something like, this is why I started it. This is why I do it. And you keep referencing to the calling that you hear as an entrepreneur because frankly, this thing's hard. So you might as well tell people this is why I'm doing these things. 2, see is what vision do you see? Where are we going? So this is more towards the future. If there's one thing that people really are a lot of is uncertain. Everywhere, people and humans, they have this craving for certainty. You can declare, this is what I see the future becoming. Then what that does for people is it gives them that feeling of safety. This guy has a clue of where the future is. So if you can give that feeling of safety, they tend to want to work with you more. 3 is taste. What's your taste like? An example of a taste post would be something like you posting about what your workstation looks like. Or you're going on a vacation, showing like what are the things that you decide to do. You're showing people on a routine. Every single video that you've seen of a day in the life. A day in the life is an example of a taste kind of post. You can show that through characters. In my world, there's characters like, I'm gonna introduce some of them to you if you don't know them. It's Abuelita. Abuelita is my grandma. And I am married to the Ukrainian. There's Christian, who's Christian is my VA, he's my best friend. You know, we work together. So I'm building this world and building this taste of the things that I do. People know what you offer, people know what you're good at, but do they know you? You allow them to know you through exposing them to your taste. Not just like value, and that's important, but also showing them, hey, this is who I am. They tend to trust you more, and it leads to more sales down the road. Listen, this whole video thing, I'm kind of new to it, like in terms of like having a good camera on it. Having a good camera is important, but you know what's also is important? Having water when you record these things. 4th is touch. Touch is to refer to what tools do you use. For example, Apple, it has the iPod, iPhone, iPad. They don't call it the Apple Music player, the call maker from Apple, and the big one. They call it something. But coaches, consultants, agency owners, people who sell services online, they usually don't call things things. They have my program, or they have the spreadsheet, the PDF, the template. And I think that's a waste of potential. Call it something. I don't call a tool a piece of metal. I call it a hammer. You don't call your spreadsheet a spreadsheet. Call it the 0 to something spreadsheet. Call it the 6 packs in 2 months thing. Like, call it something so that it's more persuasive. Things that have names are more persuasive than things that don't. And the last one is smell. Smell is, what smell do you not tolerate? Me personally, I don't like chili pepper. I hate that stuff. Even though I'm Asian, sorry, that is what it is. What things do you not tolerate in your world? And it can be behaviors. In my world, I don't tolerate maybes. For me, it's a yes or it's a next. And so that behavior has been represented in my funnel. Another one is I don't do pauses. Pauses are for Netflix. If you're gonna work with me and you have the intention to pause, then don't bother. This is kind of a lesson that you arrive to after a few iterations and pain. Good coaching businesses and consulting businesses, they make most of their money through the back end. And in order for you to make most of your money through your back end and recurring revenue and recurring payments, you can only do that through getting the right people. And to get the right people, you have to expose to them the things that you do not tolerate. I think you can't change people. Frankly, you can't change people. People change, but you can't change them. So it allows you to find more of the winners. 3 is intellectual property. Intellectual property is you calling things something, not a, but the. I'm doing the intellectual property in this video myself by calling it whale bait. Posts that attract whales who can pay you. Don't call your stuff a spreadsheet. Call it the spreading sheet. Whatever. I don't know why the hell I came up with that example. Let's just pretend that didn't happen, but you understand what I'm trying to say. 4, philosophy. Fish are mostly attracted to promises. Whales are more attracted to philosophy. Because for a whale, it's not so much about the destination, but also about how you try to get there. To them, it's more important to understand how. How are we going to get there? What do you believe in? Why do you believe in that? How is your path different? Because last time I went through that path that other people were trying to sell me on, I fell through a cliff and it didn't work. How is yours different? What other path are you going to take me through? And that is exposed by your philosophy. 5 is magic. Do it raw. You heard it here first. It is important that you do it raw. Magic is the things that look normal to you, but to other people it looks like magic. I say do it raw because these actually do better if you don't put a lot of quality into it in the video. It's just cool. It's like these insider videos that if they're not that polished, it actually helps the video or the post. For example, I love writing. I believe that I'm a writer first and a businessman second. I recorded myself writing a few tweets, 15-minute video, and it got me a lot of clients. And it wasn't my highest performing video for a long time. It was also the one with the least quality. You probably are creating workout plans. You make something with AI, a prompt, and you have an output that to you is like fairly normal, but to everybody's like, holy shit, how did you do that? 6, group hacking. Well, I didn't highlight this, but pretend there's a red highlight here, okay? I know people who make $1 million a year, and all they do, they go on paid groups, they add a bunch of value, they answer questions, and then people reach out. When you post value and free stuff on social media, you don't get as much immediate returns. You do get big returns, but you don't get immediate returns as fast as you do when you go on paid groups. You need to go on these masterminds, these groups, these paid communities, and pay for access. And all you do there are 2 things. You only do Q&A, you answer questions, and you do some proactive posting. The thing here is you gotta understand that you're playing kind of a social status game. You cannot just be asking because then you're gonna get kicked out. However, what you can do is you can just give and not ask. On these, this is a much of a more viable strategy than in social media. If you never ask on social media, it's tough, right? Like, good luck. Without having a massive audience, good luck. But in groups, it is different because you're talking to people who have already paid, people who are just in a different mindset, who are a different kind of people. And so you get much more returns. I would go in paid communities and be like, yo, I have this thing that's really working, or I got this prompt that's doing really well for me. Can I share it with somebody? I won't pitch or anything. And they're like, sure. Then it's a win-win for them because they would get retention that way too. And that is something that you can do. If you're in these paid communities, post on these once a week or more times, you'll probably get something really good out of it. 7 is proof. I say here, don't do cockymonials because I'm proud of that joke. So what's a cockymonial? A cockymonial is when people say, hey, look at this testimonial that a client gave me. my client did this and my client did that, and look how great I am, and by the way, this guy's got this result. It's all about them. It's not about the person, and that's so cocky. It's just so arrogant, and people see just they just see right through it, right? It's like, dude, I don't understand what you're trying to do, right? You know, fitness coaches do this kind of stuff. They're like, this client, look at this transformation. We lost 30 pounds. It's like, dude, you didn't like not eat for them. It's not like you lost 30 pounds. They lost 30 pounds. But that's besides the point. No, that is the point. That's wrong. Don't do that. Don't be cocky when you do these testimonials. When you do these testimonials and you share proof that other people get in your world, don't talk about you being the hero. They are the hero. Like, frankly, coaching and consulting, you're responsible for like 3% of the success of somebody. Like, winners are winners. They're gonna win with you or without you. When you show you were the main thing, that's just poor taste. That's just not a good look on you. So make them look like the hero, and you actually make more money that way. It looks more humble. Humble marketing tends to do better. For some people, like Andrew Tate kind of people, and that's a very small amount of people. Like, I would assume that's not you, and I think you should probably assume that's not you. It doesn't work that well. 8, thesis. What will happen? What is your thesis for the future? If you can understand and you can explain to people, this is what I think will happen, and this is what I'm doing about it, then how can you not trust somebody who has that skin in the game? My thesis, one of my thesis, is that I can do better with AI, serving people with AI, than myself. And so I banked, and I actually shrunk my consulting business to put all of these posts, my learnings from 3 years into an AI. And I took that risk. So have a thesis for the future and show people some sort of risk that you're taking towards it. We're going to get into the other 9 in the back, right? I just have it in the back. 9th is the undesirable character. This is one of my favorite posts, and it actually struck a chord in a bunch of clients. The undesirable character is you explaining a behavior that you do not want happening in your business. I think it's going to be clear with an example. I made a post about Nail Down Nathan. So Nail Down Nathan doesn't exist. He's not a person, he's a behavior. I would ask Nail Down Nathan, hey, how's it going with your offer? And on day 1, he would say, oh, I'm just nailing my offer down. Cool. I'll ask him in 3 weeks, hey, Nathan, how's your offer going? He'd be like, hey, I'm just nailing it down. And then I ask him in like 3 months, hey, how's the offer going? I'm about to nail my offer down. And I said, I pity him. I pity Nail Down Nathan, because you cannot build a house if you keep nailing down the same nail. That struck a chord on people. And they were like, I don't want to be that kind of person. Can you hear those bells? That means it's time for us to make money. We're gonna wait for the bells to get up. All right, like 2 hours later, we're back because these guys stopped. Undesirable character. Once you expose people to what behaviors you don't want to see in your audience, it's a wonderful thing because you stop getting them. And it doesn't make you look reactive. That's also pretty cool because you don't really say this person sucks, which by the way is not a good look in your business. However, if you do say we do not do these kind of things and you give it a name, there's a difference between you saying I don't want people to like really overthink and be like I don't want Nail Down Nathans. It's a very different frame. And so if you name it, you won't get them. 10, the cheap asset. This is not so much of a post. It can be a post, but it's more of an offer. Now here's a number that actually really surprised me. 90% of my clients who bought a high ticket thing first bought a cheap thing from me. So selling cheap assets allows you to create a lot of clients. You just have to think in 2 steps, not in just 1. Now, you know how sometimes when you say things in a very musical way, it tends to resonate more as true. An example, if you like red, wait until you get blue. And it sounds cool, right? But what the hell did I say? It had no substance. There's other things in business that tend to sound very musical, but they don't really make any sense. One of them, by the way, is if you give this stuff away for free, people will pay you to cook it for them. That's not how it works. However, another one that people say is that cheap offers attract cheap people. It sounds nice, right? It sounds cool, but I don't think that's true. Cheap offers don't attract cheap people. Cheap tactics attract cheap people. Cheap assets, they align more towards how whales and really everybody buys offers, which is they prefer to try before they buy. Think of it in your own behavior. How often have you bought a small thing before you bought a bigger thing? Probably a few times. Whales behave like that too. They like to buy something cheap, and it's because they're testing you. They want to see if you actually got your stuff because they cannot tell from your content because, and here's the key, you want to hear the key to upselling, the key to getting clients in the back? It's consumption. People don't consume our stuff as much as we think they do. Your best prospect is only going to read like a third of your emails. Your number one follower is only going to watch like half of your videos. Like, it's not really, people don't consume our stuff that much. And the reason being is that it's free. I'm very psychology based. I like thinking about fundamentals and thinking about how people go through things. And when we pay for something, we pay more attention to it. When we pay attention. If I'm in the feed, above me, there's probably a banger meme. And below me, there's probably a hot chick. So then it's like, it's really hard to pay attention to my kind of stuff. When people just get free stuff, they tend to just not pay attention to it. Like maybe they're going to walk, they're listening to a podcast, they don't pay attention. And so they don't upsell. But if you charge for something, like even if it's a small amount, like I've sold stuff for $1. Like that's the cheapest thing you can do on Stripe, I think. People do have like this psychological change when they pay for something and they actually go through it. And because they consumed it, they see how good you are. The thing is, the reason why you don't get clients, one of the reasons, we all don't get clients, like it's not just you, like we all bleed. But one of the reasons is that people don't consume our things. Your non-clients don't see you like your clients see you. Now, what if you could match that? That is what cheap assets do. They match that so that people can see you at your best. That's why it's easier to close people on a sales call than to actually get them on the call, because then they can see you. So sell cheap things so that they'll see how good you are, they consume it, and then they upsell into the next thing. 11, the model post. This is great for saturated markets specifically. At some point in saturated market, call it fitness, coaching, consulting, OnlyFans. For saturated markets, will offers stop working as well. In fitness specifically, you see how offers tend to get more exaggerated. Hell, even in business, dude. In fitness, for example, they sell, I'm gonna help you lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks. And then somebody comes up and he's like, I got a better offer for you, son. I'm gonna help you lose 21 pounds in 12 weeks. And then somebody else comes and you can guess what they want? 22 pounds in 12 weeks. And so it's just gets ridiculous. Clients and prospects, they understand, I don't really respond to like these big of an offers anymore. You see that behavior in like more developed markets. Then the model post is fantastic. So what does the model post do? The model post is to you what the keto diet was to health. It's a different way to get to the same result, which is a flat belly. If you can show people it's not just about the destination, you already know this is what we want, but you show them we actually go through a different path, then you become different, which is a good thing. And marketing different is better than better. For me, my model was the likes and cash model. It was like a 40-minute video where it was just a raw screen recording of taking people through. This is how we get followers, leads, customers, and clients. That was the second most profitable post I ever made. Actually, this is the second best. The best one is the protagonist. This is the second best. This one is harder to do because it requires thinking. And thinking is the hardest part of the job. And you have this, I can guarantee you have it. You have a specific way of achieving an outcome that has more of you, right? It has more of you. So think about what is the actual process that you take people through and you separate it. Think about the normal stages. Let's think about fitness because we're all already in this train. First 5 pounds, first 10 pounds, first 15 pounds. Don't think about the promises itself, but think about the connectors between them. From 5 to 10, what do you change? What do you do differently? Do you do diets, or are you based like us and you buy peptides from Chinese suppliers that are very reputable and totally not poison? What do you do from this stage to that stage? Do you focus on keto specifically, or do you add some more cardio? Do you focus more on the mindset side of things? What is different about not the destination, but the model that you're gonna take people through? That post is wonderful. I rarely say should, but you should post that. 12 is identity. Who does someone become in your world? Identity is ninja level persuasion. It's like high level persuasion because identity speaks to our tribal desire to, well, belong to the tribe. If you can give an identity that is desirable, people tend to want to do it more. An example is the hybrid athlete. There's a difference between, hey, bro, you want to be somebody who runs and is kind of jacked? Or do you want to become a hybrid athlete? Like, do you feel the difference in it? And so I created an identity. There's the content creator, and then there's the cash creator. I did so in the beginning of this video. There's the coach, and there's a protagonist. When you give stuff an identity of who they become in your world, it is a lot more persuasive. I was blessed with insight on this because I'm from Guatemala. Now, I'm going to let you in on a very sad reality, and it is just devastating. Guatemala has never gone to the World Cup. That kills me. It hurts me. But what do you see when you go to Guatemala during World Cup season? Hell, even in not in World Cup season. People have the Spain jersey, and the Germany jersey, and the Argentina jersey, and the Brazil jersey. And then there's a weird guy that just has this random team that he says is going to win the World Cup, but just fairly never wins jersey. Why? Because we like these identities. And so you go on these bars, right? And in these bars, people fight each other. Like they start hitting each other because of a country that they have 0% of blood from. But identity is massive for persuasion. So who can somebody become into your world? Give them that identity, name it so that they want to become it. The cool thing is that this reduces supply, subjectively, yes, but it reduces the supply of people who can afford that to one, you. So the only way to become that identity is through paying you. 13, problem. When you share problems that your audience deals with, don't just share the problem, share a lot of the detail. Can you hear those fireworks? There's this thing going on in Spain right now where people are burning fireworks for a month. So probably recording videos outside wasn't that good of an idea, but inside of my office there's a bunch of echo, so we'll have to do. Problem. Don't forget the detail. There's a difference between me saying you gained a few pounds and me saying now you only really wear black shirts because those make you look leaner. It's like, oof. It's like, damn. Yes, exactly it. You don't take your shirt off at the beach now. You just wear the shirt because you know you have more of a belly now. It's like, oof. It hurts. Don't forget the detail. Even, and this matters even more in niches in which you can't point to much more tangible things. With money, it's easier. Get to 5K, 10K, whatever. For example, health, it's harder. So I'll give you an example. I worked with somebody in gut health. It was kind of hard to quantify because it was a lot of feel. Like you're gonna feel better. That was kind of, well, that's actually the outcome with gut health. His most profitable post was actually a post about acne, and it was an acne in this area right here. And so he showed up before and after, and it's like, you know, you have a lot of acne here. When you have that, that's how you know you got gut health issues. Think about that. What is the detail? And that detail hits harder more than you have a little bit of digestion issues and you gain a little bit of weight. Think about the detail. When you create problem posts, that matters. 14, fascinating facts. And I call this old school marketing because I have some old school ads that I really like that use this very well. The bells are ringing. You know, I'm preaching the marketing. I'm going to give you 3 examples of ads. One is from Rolls-Royce. David Ogilvy, when he was creating an ad for Rolls-Royce, he didn't go to the marketing team. Instead, he went to the engineering team. And he started asking and reading the big Bible on like what makes this Rolls-Royce, well, cool. In the middle of it, he found a sentence that said, and that became the headline. It's just beautiful. At 60 miles per hour, the loudest noise in this Rolls-Royce comes from the electric clock. And that became the headline, and it made a lot of money for them. Second one was from Budweiser. Beers, I don't know if they do this nowadays, but back then, they would cool and purify the beers through pipes underground. Every single beer provider did that, but people didn't know that they did that. So the first person who came up and found that fascinating fact wrote that ad that our beers are actually cooled and purified through pipes underground. Well, that did a bunch of sales for, I think it was Budweiser. And the third example is M&M's, and it all goes back to finding fascinating facts. M&M's was actually a war candy, popularized, I think, during World War I or II. Soldiers would eat it in the trenches. One soldier, after the war was over, went to the US back and went to a marketer, and he said, I want to promote this thing, I want to make it big. And so the marketer would ask him, what makes it good? What makes it different? Well, the thing is, it gives you energy. Talking about war, hear that? It gives you energy, tastes nice, and I really like it, but they couldn't really find anything until they were tired, and he said, the thing is, it melts in your mouth, not in your hands. And it was just That's the moment, right? It's like, man, that's what we're promoting. So I'll give you an example of that in the beginning of this, well, in the middle of it, when I talked about the cheap asset and 90% of my clients coming from me selling something cheap. I fish for these facts because it's important and people really like those, and they tell a truth beyond what marketing can tell. People cannot argue with numbers. The one thing more powerful than marketing is math. You're welcome, Dad. See, we're doing math here. Find fascinating facts in your world that you've done, and this requires a little bit of introspection and thinking in the back. Pull those out. They're gonna tell a massive story that you cannot tell just with words. Just find a fact, let that do the selling for you, like Budweiser, Rolls-Royce, and M&M's. Where are we? 15. Risk. Risk. I'm gonna put a picture on the screen and ask you, which one of these two guys do you trust more? Guy A, that is in the beginning of the bridge and tells you, yeah, totally cross, bro, it's totally safe. Or guy B, who's in the middle of the bridge and tells you, see, I didn't fall. It's totally fine. Another example from old school marketing, I'm gonna do like this because I think that you can hear the wind, so I'm gonna try to do it like this. So another example from old school marketing about this was from elevators. So elevators had this propaganda that they would fall and they were unsafe. So what this guy did was he invented like this like safety fall mechanism. He went in an elevator in the middle of like a big crowd. He had an axe. There were two cables on the elevator and he would chop one of them down. Like, pop. And then the elevator like fell a little bit. And then he did it again. And the other one, the one that was the only one like left, he did it again and the elevator didn't fall. And he said, see folks, it's all good. And that guy was then hired to do the elevators in the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It goes a long way. What risk are you taking? Because you are already taking some sort of risk that you can demonstrate to your audience that you have taken. And that makes people trust you more, which we already covered is the loop for sales. Two things to take away from this video is use loop and do it wrong. 16, demonstration. Does the old man still got it? Fitness people do this all the time. What do fitness people love doing more than making money is taking their shirt off. So they will take their shirt off and they will show, hey, look, I still got it. It doesn't really require much thinking through this. What can you demonstrate that you still got it? You tell people that you can drive into an outcome. When was the last time you showed it? Show it. 17, take your shoes off. My dad had this tradition, take your shoes off when you enter the house. That tradition, not everybody did that. My dad's friends wouldn't do that at their house, but when they came to our house, they had to do it. They had to respect the rules of the house. Because my dad was like, you cannot enter if you do not take your shoes off. Think about that for your own world. Most people take people with a credit card and a pulse, and those are the only two qualifications. And the pulse is optional. You have higher standards. Show them. Show them. You have to take your shoes off. These are the rules of the house. This actually did wonders for my backend and retention because I would say, I do not want these kind of people. These are the rules of the house. This is what we do not do. Kind of ties back to what we said about I don't do maybes and I don't do pauses. For you is what rules do you have for yourself? And so you end up with better people because you expose them to the things that you do not want them to do. Again, you can't change people. I don't like the term in marketing of belief changing, belief shifting posts. I don't think you can do that. But what you can do is you can filter for better people. If you try to focus on creating desire and creating people, you're going to be very disappointed because people don't change. That's just what it is. That's just the truth. But you can find the people who are already aligned with you. And if you make an effort to do that, you're going to find better people, make more money. And last is the offer. When you create content, other people create content, and people are convinced they have a problem, they're convinced they need a solution, they're gonna buy something. If you do not have an offer, it sounds obvious, but it's not going to be you. I think that building an audience or starting an audience, building, whatever, I just think not having an offer is a terrible idea. Because it's not like people are gonna say, you know what, I have a problem and it's really painful, but I'm gonna wait for you to be ready to make us an offer for me to get help. That's not what happens. They just buy it, but they buy it from somebody else. And every day you don't have an offer is a day in which that somebody else is not you. I don't think the move is to build an audience and then launch an offer. I think you should build an offer and build an audience around it so that by default you'll have more prospects in it than people who are just in it for the shits and giggles. That's how I think of it. That's how I build my 3 businesses to over $1 million a year. So, recap on the 18 most profitable posts is the cheap asset. Sell cheap things because most people like to try before they buy. The model post, great for saturated markets so that you can show that you have a different path to the destination. 12, identity. Who does somebody become into your world? Identity is persuasive. Problem, don't forget the detail. There's a difference between saying you gained weight and you only wear black shirts because those make you look leaner. 14, fascinating fact. Show something that tells a bigger truth than marketing. 15, risk. Who do you trust more? Somebody taking risk or somebody who hasn't? Probably somebody who has. Demonstration. Do you still got it? Show that you still got the goods. 17, take your shoes off. What are the rules of your house? 18, offer. Have an offer so that people can actually pay you because they're going to buy something, and every day you don't have an offer out is a day in which that somebody is not you. 9th, the undesirable character. Who or what behaviors do you not want to see in your world? 8, thesis. What future do you see and how can you point at this is where you'll be safe? Proof. Don't do cockymonials. They are the hero. You're not the hero. 6, group hacking. What communities can you go on and add value because those people do respond to value better than free people do? Magic. How can you show something that is normal to you but magic to others? Philosophy. What do you believe in? Why do you believe in that? How are you going to take people to the destination? Intellectual property. Call your tool something. Not a tool, but the tool. 5, senses. What calling do you hear? What future do you see? What's your taste like? What tools do you use? What's your touch? What smell do you not tolerate? And the most profitable one is the protagonist pose, so that people can understand that you're not just somebody trying to sell them something, but you actually have a mission that they can stand behind and lead you towards, follow you towards, and you can lead them towards. All right, those are the 18 well-made posts, the most profitable posts of building 3 businesses to over $1 million a year.